Hello, good morning, or good evening, whenever you are watching this. I hope you are doing well. My name is Catherine, and today I'm going to be talking about my Season 2 predictions of Shadow and Bone. At the time of me making this video, we are 17 days away, or 16 days, I'm terrible at math, away from Shadow and Bone Season 2 premiering on Netflix. I'm going to be seeing at least episode 1, maybe 2 episodes, in 9 days. I'm going to be going to the LA premiere. I got tickets. I don't know what I'm going to wear, but I'm hoping it's going to be something cool. But yeah, I'm going to be seeing it in 9 days and also seeing the cast on the red carpet. So that's a little insane. I have a whole reaction video and review of me talking about season 1 the day that it came out. I'm a big fan of the show and the books, and I have a lot of opinions. I have a lot of hopes. I have a lot of dreams. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of worries as well. This entire video, by the way, is going to contain spoilers for every single one of the Grishaverse books, from Shadow and Bone through Rule of Wolves. So, sorry. I'll be discussing a couple different things in this video, things that we have seen come out in articles, and of course the trailer. If there is something in particular that you're looking for, I'll put timestamps down below of each point that I talk about, things like plot, characters, the integration of the crows with the Shadow and Bone storyline, which I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions of. Very interesting. And of course, we can keep the conversation going down in the comments below. Just be respectful is my only thing. If I see anyone being rude to fellow fans or to cast members even, I am going to remove your comment. Just throwing that out there right now. So let's dive right into things. Thinking back to the trailer of season 1, when we got that, it only really showed things up until, I want to say, episode 3 at the very most. I would be shocked and surprised if the trailer involved things past episode 3, maybe even episode 4. Except for one particular plot point. I will get to that in a second. From a couple different articles and things that Leigh Bardugo has talked about, as well as the showrunners, season 2 is going to comprise of both the plot of Siege and Storm and Rune and Rising, which is books 2 and 3 in the Grisha trilogy. While the crows are involved in this season quite heavily, it appears, it's not going to involve actual plot from the Six of Crows books. Again, that is just my understanding and my interpretation of the, I believe it was Entertainment Weekly article. What does this mean from the plot? Well, we do have to kind of talk about how combining books 2 and 3 is going to affect the plot and the pacing. My opinion is, honestly, this isn't the worst thing in the world. Siege and Storm, while I love a lot of aspects of that book, if y'all remember, if you have read the books, the entire middle section of the book is things like the characters traveling throughout the kingdom and a lot of training. While a lot of that is necessary for the pacing of a book, to show all of that on screen would be boring as hell. In the beginning of Siege and Storm, Mal and Alina are in hiding. They've been in hiding for quite some time, actually. From what we saw at the end of season 1, they're definitely going to attempt to be in hiding. I have a feeling they are going to be less successful than they were in the books, although they are going to have the help of the crows. So that's great. From what we see in the trailer, it's not really clear how Sturmhond and his crew come together with Mal and Alina. In the books, Sturmhond is kind of double undercover. He is pretending to help out the Darkling in order to get the second amplifier, aka the Sea Whip. From the way things look, it doesn't look like that whole plot is going to happen. It also does appear that Sturmhond is just going to look like Prince Nikolai the entire time. In the books, he was undercover. He was tailored to not look like himself by Tamar, I believe. If he's not being tailored, it would be absolutely insane for him to be pretending to help out the Darkling, because the Darkling would know what Prince Nikolai looks like. Mal and Alina probably don't, though. There was a little clip released on the Shadow and Bone Instagram where it sounds like Nikolai is saying, you don't know me, you don't know who I am. So it would make sense that they don't know that it's Nikolai, that he is the prince, until a little bit later into working with him. They do have clips of them going through water and looking for the sea whip. I am very excited though, because it does look like it's keeping things like the flying pirate ship in, which I'm so excited to see. Already, Patrick Gibson, he has the swagger, he has the look. As long as he's got the charm and the swagger, that's all Nikolai needs. But it looks like they are keeping in, and what I'm very interested in how it's going to translate from page to screen is Alina basically being like haunted by the Darkling, in some way having some sort of, I don't know how to describe it other than a telepathic connection. There are bits and pieces where Alina is way too casual in her talking to the Darkling, so I can only assume that is in her head. People love talking about relationships. Malina, Darklina. Here's the deal. This is a Darkling hate account. Through and through, I will be committing all of the Darkling slander here. There is, of course, one particular clip in the trailer of what looks like Alina and someone making out, having a little bit of fun time. There has been a lot of speculations of, is that Mal? Is that the Darkling? The hair on the guy is way too short to be Ben Barnes. It's obviously Mal. Even if it was the Darkling, that scene is probably the scene where the Darkling tricks Alina into thinking he is Mal, which again is not a cute or fun thing here. That is assault. So let's not romanticize that part of the story, please. Now, there are kind of two instances in the trailer that look like they could be later in the show. Specifically, there's a part where Zoya and Inej are fighting side by side. Thank you to the universe that made this possible. When they are fighting together, it looks like they are in this like desert wasteland. The only two kind of things I can think of that this could be is if the crows join to hunt for the firebird, which would be a really interesting choice, or if this is when the fold gets unfolded. What? Basically, when the fold gets destroyed, it is described as this like desert wasteland where nothing can grow.
And if you look carefully, there is these statues that look very similar to the scene where the Darkling creates the fold.
But that's kind of the only thing I can really think of. The other part that looks like it could be later in the series is it does show Alina and the Darkling standing off. Again, this could be one of two things. This could be end of Siege and Storm, when the Darkling and the Volcra kind of attack the little palace, and the big palace actually. Or it could be, you know, the big Alina Darkling standoff. Let's talk about the crows. It has been mentioned several times that they are not including any part of the Six of Crows book storyline. Now, there is one caveat to that. When they've mentioned that in articles, they've said specifically like the Ice Court Heist. The Ice Court Heist is not happening this season. And that's okay, because that would be way too much. That definitely needs its own season. However, we could still be getting more backstories from our characters. In season 1, we got the backstory of how Nina and Matthias met. This is included in the book, however, it's not part of like the main storyline. So I would be honestly kind of surprised if we didn't get some other sort of backstory. We're obviously getting Wylan. We're getting Wylan meeting the other crows. And we are going to be getting how kind of Nina becomes a part of the crew. Because until the very, very, very end of season 1, we don't see Nina in any sort of proximity to the rest of the crows. So chances are we are going to be getting Nina cultivating the relationship with the crows, and we are going to be seeing Wylan and the crows kind of working together, them seeing like what Wylan can do. This might change a little bit of how they met from the books, because how they met in the books was Jesper kind of like scouting Wylan out, keeping an eye on him, because Kaz knows who Wylan is. Nobody else knows who Wylan is. So it might change a little bit of how the crows come to meet Wylan. unfortunately, that's something that's inevitable in adaptations. And while I would love to see that beginning of the Wesper relationship, things do have to change for them to translate onto screen. The thing that I honestly was like, just what is gonna happen is poor Matthias. He's just gonna be in Hellgate the entirety of season 2 is my assumption. If, like they said, they aren't including any part of Six of Crows. My man, he's gonna have a hard time this season, and that's rough. That is rough for him. Now, of course, what exactly are the Crows going to be doing this season? Great question. Here's the thing with the Crows, because I do have a lot of thoughts and opinions about them being included so early on. Really, they are going to get more involved in things when it comes to things like Ravka, just in general. We already see Kaz interacting with Nikolai. The Crows basically, by the end of season 2, have to be to the point where at the start of season 3, they're getting ready for the Ice Court heist. In film and television adaptations, you don't really have as much time to build character because unfortunately it's something that can't really just rely on the people who love the source material. It's something that has to appeal to a wide audience. People who've never read the books have to understand from the get-go, who are these characters? What are their relationships? All of that. So if we want them to be where they are at the beginning of Six of Crows, they kind of have to build those relationships in these 2 seasons, which we've already seen the relationship dynamic in season 1 between Inej, Kaz, and Jesper, but we haven't seen it with the other characters. So what do I think they're going to be doing? I mean, I'm hoping that they are actually involved with the finding of the other amplifiers. Now, as we know, Kaz never really does things out of the goodness of his heart, so it's going to be, for whatever reason, something that benefits him. And while at this point there might be talks of Yura Param, my extreme hope is that we don't see any of that until after the Darkling is gone, because if the Darkling gets a hold or is in the same world as Param, that is a recipe for disaster and not something that I ever want to see. The Crows probably aren't going to be in any way kind of exploring that. It's either going to be a whole other heist that, for whatever reason, again, makes them cross paths with Alina and the Ravkin crew, or it's going to be some whole other storyline that's not going to make sense, and we're just going to be like, I mean, well, I'm glad that we get to see the Crows. That's cool. Finally, I'm going to be talking about some of the other characters and some of my hopes for the show. So first and foremost, Tolya and Tamar. Loves of my lives, my favorite twins. My hope is that we get some great poetry from Tolya. If they cut out his poetry, I will probably cry. I also am very much hoping to see those hints of romance between Tamar and Nadia. Can't wait to see that. Genya and David, we do also see bits and things from them. In the trailer, we see a moment of Genya and David hugging, which is very sweet, although a little bit fast in my opinion, but I'm happy for any Genya David content. They have to keep in, unfortunately, Genya being attacked by the Darkling, him sicking the Nichivoya onto her, which is terrible and will make me probably just like full out sob. But it is so important to the storyline, showing the Darkling's cruelty. And then, of course, if we don't have David saying, I know metal, I'm just gonna have to turn off the TV. If David doesn't say, I know metal, beauty is your armor, what even is the point? Finally, even though there's no hints of them, and I don't even think anything's been announced about this character, Harsha and Oncat better be in this show. If I don't get Oncat, I don't know what I'm gonna do. He's my favorite. And as Leigh Bardugo has said so many times, the only character she regrets killing is Harsha. So like, if we don't get justice for Harsha, what is the point of this show? Honestly. Lastly, a character who we only see for a very brief moment in the trailer, but who I love with all my heart, is of course Zoya. I am very interested to see Zoya, how she is going to be involved in the story. We basically from the end of Shadow and Bone is like, I am done with the Darkling, cancel him, end him, which like we can trust Queen Zoya to do. I'm very, very curious how she's going to be integrated into the show, into season 2. My hope is that she is just involved. I'm hoping for some very fun, flirty moments between her and Nikolai, so we can get a little bit of hints to that. But yeah, I'm very curious how her character is going to develop. My other 2 hopes for this season is that we don't get as bad of miscommunication between Alina and Mal. I really want to see them having more of a united front, and having them have that more unbreakable bond that we kind of got in season 1 versus like the books. My other hope is that we get to see Mal's tattoo, and all of you eat your words when you're making fun of his tattoo, because you know what? I bet it's gonna look really cool. That is my biggest prediction. I Am Become the Blade is gonna be the coolest tattoo, and at least one of you is gonna end up with it. It might be me. We'll see. All right, I guess we will see what happens. We will see if this is a success or if this ends up being not what we were hoping for in 17 days. For me, 9 days. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, I'm sure I'll have a lot more videos talking about the Grishaverse when season 2 premieres. Go ahead and hit subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you get notified every single time I post. Until next time, bye!